How is everyone doing today? It is July 17th of 2024 and we are ready to do our first tomato video of the season. Really excited about this tomato. We have grown it one other time in the past, and to be honest with you, I didn't really like the taste of it. It's got a cool name, it's a cool variety. This is the Dwarf Banana Toast tomato. It's the one that's right in here in the center. And I wasn't really necessarily going to grow it again. It had a kind of mild taste. Some of the paste tomatoes we feel like are kind of mealy and not as rich as some of the other tomato varieties we like. But when we grew this tomato last time, and was it last year? I can't remember if it was last year. I think it was the year before last. But it ended up being Kiddo's favorite. Kiddo doesn't really like peppers or tomatoes. I know that we grow a lot of those. He kind of likes the part of us growing them and all the unique varieties, but it's hard to really get him to sit down and like a tomato or anything along those lines. I don't know if he still likes it because, like I was saying, it was a couple seasons ago that we grew it, but it's a really prolific first tomato out of the season. Look at this right here. This plant is absolutely loaded with tomatoes up top. Kiddo was out here counting them earlier and there was 20 something, so I'm not sure if he's still in tomatoes. We're just kind of ramping up our tomato and pepper videos for the year, and this is our very first tomato tester or pepper pusher video. So it's the Dwarf Banana Toast. We do have him, he's inside right now. He's going to go ahead and sit down and give this a try. It's always my goal to try to find some of these unique veggies and stuff. There's a lot of kids that might not like tomatoes or peppers or along those lines.
There's a spider.
Spider on that one.
It was. It's not
He's creeping around the corner here. But this is the Dwarf Banana Toast tomato. Beautiful looking tomato. Once I get them inside, I'll tell you a little bit more about our experience growing them, but a cool name. It comes from the Dwarf Tomato Project. This one, the last time that we grew it too, it was really prolific. It started producing tomatoes early in the season and continued to pump out tons and tons of tomatoes. Like I was saying, me and Angel, we weren't big fans of the flavor. And so even with its productivity and stuff like that, we were not as prone. I believe right now in our collection we have seeds for about 12 to 15 different types of dwarf tomato. So when we got that many varieties and there's other ones that we were more interested in, it's really cool to kind of
coming off really easy.
Grow some of the other ones. These ones are coming off really easy, extremely ripe. There's a good chance we will save seeds on these, but I'm really interested mostly in seeing how Kiddo enjoys them again. If you have a kid that might not be into the tomato flavor so much, these ones last time for us were very mild. Look at that right there. Those are some excellent tomatoes. It's a great start to a tomato season right there. It's got several more that are ripening, and there's some back there, but those ones are on the mild part, and I'll probably take those to a family member this weekend. So the Dwarf Banana Toast tomato, it is July 17th of 2024. The reason we grew this one again is specifically for Kiddo, so we're going to sit down with him inside and see if it still holds the same allure that it held a couple years ago. So wasn't going to have this one in our yard. Really happy we did now though, because it's the first one to produce tomatoes, and it is producing a horde of tomatoes. Normally another one that we have in the yard that's a really high producer in the Dwarf Tomato Project tomatoes is one called the Lemon Ice. We don't have that one in our yard this season. This is where the Lemon Ice probably would have ended up, but another productive type. So the Dwarf Banana Toast, not quite sure of the breeds that were used to create it. The Dwarf Tomato Project does create tomato plants that are established varieties though, or open pollinated, meaning that the seeds may be not heirloom. That means they're not like 40 or 50 years old, where they've been grown generation after generation to be considered an heirloom, but they are a cross variety that has been grown out enough repetitious times in order to make sure that the seeds are true to type. So it's not an heirloom, but it is true to type. So when we save seeds from this, we will most likely have, unless we got some sort of cross pollination, we will most likely have exactly Dwarf Banana Toast seeds when we grow next year. In fact, these seeds right here were grown from our saved seeds because we had given the other seeds that we had purchased away. So these ones are actually from our seeds, and as you can see, it's still got hordes of tomatoes, but I'll take these in, give them a try with Kiddo real quick, and then I'll come back out here for last thoughts. Love you guys, and catch you in a second. All right, so here we are. It's the Dwarf Banana Toast tomato. It is a sort of a paste style tomato, mild in flavor. So if your kid isn't into the tomato flavor too much, then it might be a good idea. Or adults, I guess. There's probably adults out there that might not like a super strong tomato. I've never really been a big fan of the tomatoes. They're not necessarily something that you can snack on, and they're also not necessarily like, they always kind of have like a little bit of a mealy texture. They're not really as juicy. But I don't mind them necessarily, especially like Roma tomatoes from the store and stuff like that. We usually buy those when we're making tacos and such. Because it can be a pretty good tomato, but for me overall it's just not as appealing as some of the other tomatoes, but I can understand cool name, cool plant,
Cool color.
super productive, cool color. Anybody who might be into a mild paste style tomato, this is a really excellent grow for us. Like you were seeing, it has probably another 20 tomatoes that might be out there on the vine. But Kiddo's going to go ahead and give these a open for us real quick.
Just keep coming.
Hold on
It's the only tomato that Kiddo has ever told us he's enjoyed. The only one.
Just keep cutting
Yeah,
down.
cut another piece and then try it.
Lemon.
Smells like lemon?
Well, it looks like a lemon.
Oh, it looks like a lemon.
Okay.
You like
Is
it?
good? Let me try a piece too.
You want to try it with salt on it?
When it comes to a tomato from the yard, the worst tomato from the yard is 10 times better than the best tomato from a store. It is mild, but it does have a little bit of a tart, sweet zing to it.
Is it?
Yeah, and this one's really done.
I'll try this one piece.
We're not very good on describing these things sometimes.
No. It tastes better than I remember it tasting last time we had it.
Yeah, it does taste a little bit stronger than I remember it tasting.
It does have that little. This one is a little overdone, so it does have a little bit of that mealy taste to it.
Yeah. And
Texture.
I know that our camera really doesn't show it. These are very yellow. That means they're like, these ones are definitely ripe, right on par, even if the camera might not be showing it as well as it should. This one right here is like a bright orange almost. I hate that our camera never really does good on color, but these ones are definitely ripe. We have a few more that are underripe on there, just barely under, that'll be ready to go in the next couple days. It has a better flavor than I remember it though. The first time that we tried this, it was almost basically water with a bit of tomato flavor. This one's tomato with a bit of watered down flavor. We're not very good at describing these things. I had noticed when we grew them before, look at the end there. That's kind of funny looking.
Yeah, this one's not as mealy, it doesn't look like.
A tip on that one.
I'm gonna try that one. Kiddo. I'm gonna try that one. It's not as mealy.
In the past, what I have noticed is if they do start to get blossom and rot too, that it tends to be just this little tip piece right here will start to get rotted, and it'll be up in the tomato. It won't really spread to the whole tomato very easily, but if there tends to be any sort of like blossom end rot, it ends up on this little tiny point that's right here. I find that really weird. It looks like a belly button kind of.
I found that this more like not as ripe one tasted more mealy in texture.
And not as ripe, yeah.
Yeah, than the more ripe one. I mean, it's not terrible. It doesn't have a ton of flavor. It would be great for tacos or paste, tomato paste, or even if you just really like mild tomatoes to snack on.
Yeah. Personally, where my brain goes with it is if you're making a tomato sauce or something, I would use a much richer tomato. And if you're trying to get that tomato sauce, if you're trying to make a lot of it, this one right here would be a decent add. It wouldn't really take away from the flavor, and it also necessarily doesn't have any strength to add to it as well. So it would mostly just kind of create more of it or spread it out farther. But I really like this tomato. If anybody is into paste tomatoes, I know that most people are more into them than I am. So I always hate when I do these videos. I always want to tell the good and the bad of my personal opinion, and knowing that will be night and day difference from a lot of other people's opinions. But
What do you think, Kiddo?
I like it. I tried it with salt and I did not like it, so I like it regular.
You like it just plain?
Yeah, just plain.
that's because he's my kid. But Kiddo doesn't necessarily like it with salt. He likes it just plain. A definite fun grow. It's got a cool name, Banana Toes. Looks like a banana and looks like a toe, kind of. That's probably a hangnail right there. But it does have a pretty good flavor. It does taste like yellow tomato to me.
Yeah.
Yellow tomatoes can be really, really sweet, almost citrusy sweet, or they can be a little bit tart. I would say out of the two, this leans the yellow tart tomato. Something similar to the lemon ice. It's hard to explain. Not anything like the Hawaiian pineapple. I think it's far away from something like that as far as sweet. But it tends to lean towards a little bit more of the yellow tart flavor you might find in a yellow pear tomato, for example. But it does have a pretty good flavor to it if you're into the little bit more of the sour tartness. It is a mild flavor, even though this one's more potent than the one we tried before. It is really mild and a really, really excellent tomato. Are you excited we grew it?
Yep.
Okay. I think what we'll be doing this next weekend is we'll be gathering a whole bunch of these up for Kiddo to take down to a grandparent. So we love you guys. We just grow these things in order to have fun and see something unique. This is an excellent tomato. If you haven't grown it before, I would definitely recommend giving it a chance. Like I was saying, a lot of people might not want that super rich. I know that by the end of the season, this will be the tomato that I'll be going to for a snack, because I'll have so much of the rich tomatoes that my stomach will be burning from the acidic content of having tomato overload. But it makes a pretty decent mild snack for a yard snack. It can work in a few different things, like an add to sauce. I wouldn't make a sauce out of it by itself, but it can make a little bit of sauce go a little bit farther, and an overall decent tomato. And the high point, the big point for me is how productive this tomato is. It is extremely productive. It's producing so many tomatoes out there. I'll show you guys when I get outside anyways. But love you guys. The Dwarf Banana Toast tomato. Good stuff?
Yep.
All right, and we'll catch you guys in just a second. Alrighty, so our clips are getting pretty long. There's a couple down here, a couple here, a couple here. This has actually got the trundle of like 6 right here. 3, 4, one behind it. It's really hard to see in the light, but this plant is producing so much tomatoes, it is trying to cause the entire plant to collapse into the pot right here. So we've had to prop it up multiple times and keep it growing, because it's just the weight of the tomatoes on it is trying to pull it back down. Out of all the dwarf tomatoes that we grew this year, I believe this is the only one that came from our seeds. I think most of the time when we grow tomatoes and peppers, it comes from our saved seeds, so we can kind of see if they're true to type and how well they do. We also believe in like evolution gardening, growing it in the same yard over and over again. Evolves it to adapt to that kind of climate, and then it'll produce better for us. So this is the only one of the dwarf tomatoes that didn't come from bought seeds, but cool shape, cool name, really productive plant. A mild paste tomato. Typical of the yellow flavored tomatoes, a little bit of tartness to it, but really excellent growth. So don't want this video to get too long. It's UT Angel and Kiddo, the dwarf banana toes that we grew for Kiddo this year, and excited to have it around. Love you guys, and we will catch you next time. Thanks for watching.